Welcome back to La La Land on CRN Digital Talk. I am Brett Chapin. That's Daisy Eagan. We are joined today by the great Mr. George Wendt, actor. If you have any questions for George, make sure you give us a call at 1-800-336-2225. That's 1-800-336-2225. Thanks for joining us, George.
Oh, thank you.
I would add singer.
Yeah, it's funny. Musical theater has suddenly become my life, and I don't sing or dance, but I will, however, do what I'm told.
Yes, that's all that really matters.
Yes.
Good actors take direction.
Yeah.
Awesome. And you're working on, right now, Reanimator, the musical at the Hayworth.
That's right.
How did you get involved with that production?
Stuart Gordon, the director and writer and producer of the movie, as well as this musical version, he and I are old pals from Chicago days. We've worked together since the late 70s. And also Mark Nutter, who wrote the music and lyrics. Mark and I go back even further to the mid-70s. He was involved over at Second City when I was there. And I've worked with Nutter on several shows, and I've worked with Stewart on, I think, 4 movies. And, it was, I was happy to get the phone call to play Dean Halsey.
It's such a funny show.
Thank you. It's wild.
So it's running now at the Hayworth. When do you guys close?
I believe a week from today.
Oh, goodness. All right. So
No, I mean a week from tomorrow. Yeah.
A week from Sunday.
A week from Sunday, and we head to the New York Musical Festival for a brief engagement there. I think 7 shows.
But that's not till the fall, right?
Oh no, that's it used to be in the fall.
It was last year in the fall.
Yeah, I think it was traditionally in the fall. They've moved to July.
Oh my goodness.
Because wasn't your show at the New York Musical
Yeah,
Theater
it was
Festival?
in October.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, they've moved it to July now, and so I think it's early. Well, it ends the 22nd of July, and we start the 17th. So we're in the second week of the festival, and then we go straight on to Edinburgh for July 25th till September 3rd.
Oh, how awesome.
Wow.
Have you been?
Yes, I've been to the festival a couple of times, and been to Edinburgh several other times as well.
Scotland is one of my favorite places.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lot of traveling as an actor. Do you really enjoy going on tour like that and visiting different areas, that type of thing, or is it?
I do. I've always enjoyed travel, and I traveled quite a bit before I was an actor, and then once I became an actor, traveling. There was so much traveling involved with the job that I rarely travel unless I'm working at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because it's guilt-free travel. You're working, you're doing what you're supposed to do. You're not, goofing off. You're, in theory, making money instead of spending it. Mm-hmm. In theory,
right. When did you become an actor?
Right, 73. We'll call it 73.
Sure.
It's when I first started taking classes
at Second City.
At Second City, workshops with Josephine Forsberg, the late Josephine Forsberg.
Must have been an incredible education.
Yeah, I did that for about a year, and then in 74, I guess, is when I started my professional career. But I'm going to date it to 73 when I started taking classes. So 74, I got hired by Second City, and I stayed there till 1980.
You did the Chicago company.
Yes.
Were you there?
No, we also went to Toronto on a bit of an exchange. They used to do that.
Yeah.
They might still do that, where the Canadians would come down and Canadian Equity would accept a tit for tat and send the Chicago company up there.
Who was in the company when you were there?
I was there a long time, so there were oodles of people, but amongst them Jim Belushi, Danny Breen, Tim Kazurinsky, Bruce Jarko, Mary Gross,
wow.
Shelley Long.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's how you originally met Shelley Long, I would imagine, before the show.
Yes.
Awesome.
And was that just a coincidence then? You ended up on the same?
Yes. Yeah, total coincidence.
And that shot out here, right, in L.A. Cheers.
Cheers did Paramount Stage 25.
How did that come about?
It was just it was pretty boring. Just my agent called and said, "Honey, the Charles brothers are shooting this thing," and I was not available. I was tied up to another series at Paramount at the time called Making the Grade, and she said, "It's a very small role, honey, but you like these guys. Remember, you did Taxi for them, and I had done an episode of Taxi that Jim Burrows directed and Glenn and Les Charles wrote." And so I said, "Sure, I'll go in." But she said, "It's really small. It's one line, really."
What was it? Hey, guys?
No. And I said, "One line? Wow." And she said, "Well, actually, it's one word." And I said, "Oh, what's the word?" She said, "Beer."
And a career began.
And I thought to myself, I can't believe I'm going to actually play a guy who looks like he wants a beer. That's amazing, because that's a lifetime of preparation for that role.
That's right in your wheelhouse.
And so it seemed like too small of a role to read. It was originally just a tag at the end of the episode. Shelley's character Diane has been hired at this point by Sam. And she says, "Hi, I'm Diane. I'll be your waitress." "Well, I'm not really a waitress. I'm an academic. My fiance left me here," and blah, blah, and she goes on for 2 pages, as she did. And I'm just sitting there, and then she wraps it all up, and she says, "I'm sorry. Well, I'm just telling you all about me. I should really be taking your order. What can I get you?" And I say, "Beer." And she says, "Beer. Perfect." And that was the end of the episode. But then they gave me this other role to read, character by the name of George, and he was the guy who always wanted one more beer and was never going to leave, and so they wound up offering me that one, but it didn't work out because I had this other show, and they were both at Paramount, but CBS didn't want me to do it because it was on NBC, blah, blah, blah. And so then that show got canceled, and then they wound up offering me Cheers. So that was, how bizarre that the luckiest thing that happened was my show got canceled.
You never know where life is going to take you.
Yeah, honestly, those closing of doors, opening of windows, it really is true.
Yeah.
Do you ever, well, I want to get into this question, but we've got 30 seconds left, so I don't know if we have enough time, but tell us about your book real quick. You wrote a book a couple years ago?
Right. It's called Drinking with George. It's a humor book, sort of a half-baked memoir, but not really a proper memoir. It's just
half-drunk memoir.
Drinking stories. Yeah, basically. Yeah.
And you don't list your favorite beer because it's hard to pick, huh?
I think Free and Free Light are my favorites.
Always a good choice. We'll be back on La La Land with Brett and Daisy on CRN Digital Talk. Welcome back to La La Land on CRN Digital Talk. I'm Brett Chapin. That's Daisy Eagan. We're joined today by actor/singer Mr. George Wendt. If you have any questions for George.
My boyfriend says that George needs a closer camera.
Camera or microphone?
I can't move the camera, unfortunately.
We can't zoom in?
We'll try it on the break. If you have any questions for George, make sure you give us a call at 1-800-336-2225, 1-800-336-2225. I don't know how to zoom it, actually. So
I bet I do.
Maybe you do, or maybe Paul Madrid can come in here during the break and help us out with it.
So we were talking during the break about the blood.
All the good stuff happens during the break.
It does. It totally does. It was crazy what just happened during the break, you guys.
Yeah.
But we were talking about the blood situation in Reanimator. It's a messy show.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's crazy. More blood is better. And Stewart is, I guess there's a term, Grand Guignol or something. G-U-G Guignol. Anyway, it's French. it's sort of a just too much blood. And Stuart goes for that.
I don't want to give anything away, but there is a soliloquy toward the end that happens with a reanimated body part.
I'll give it away.
Okay,
no.
do it.
It's our lead, more or less, one of three leads, is being strangled by a large intestine.
A reanimated large intestine.
A reanimated large intestine by a guy who he has beheaded. The intestine leaps out at him and sort of does a boa constrictor thing, all the while thumping blood.
Spraying.
Which gets all over the audience. And,
That is awesome.
All over everywhere.
The
frankly.
very first shot of blood, I was in the 4th row, and the very first shot of blood came right at my face. Like right in between the people in front of me.
Right.
Nice.
At my face.
Right.
It's
Anyway,
pretty awesome.
I can't
but
wait
it's
to go.
hilarious music and lyrics. I mean, it's a pastiche of all sorts of musical styles, and the lyrics are just hilarious.
They are, and
very offbeat.
Performances are phenomenal.
Yes. It's a great group. Graham Skipper.
He's awesome.
Is plays Dr. Herbert West, the role immortalized by Jeffrey Combs, if you're a fan of the movie. And he is indeed the reanimator.
Mm-hmm.
And he's quite gives quite a performance.
And who is it? Dr.
Hill?
Hill is so
Jesse Merlin, he's
funny.
amazing.
Yeah.
So funny.
I know. I never saw the movie, so I don't know. All I know is there's someone has his own head involved.
That's Dr. Hill. He
Yeah.
gets beheaded by Herbert West, and
I haven't seen it either.
the latter
That's
part,
awesome.
the last third of the show, he carries his head around. It's quite an effect too.
It's really great.
Yeah, the effects are so much fun because about half of them are absolute genius, and the other half are like coat hangers and bubble gum.
Yeah.
It's like ridiculous dummies, and
The visual effects are
awesome.
great. The sound is excellent.
yeah.
My friend Genevieve and I saw the show together. She's in Jersey Shore Circle with me, and we were just astounded over just the tiny little sound effects that happen, and the light is great. I mean, it's just great. It's a great show. I can't recommend it highly enough.
There's a cat.
There is a cat. There is a cat.
Speaking of sound effects.
Make sure to check it out at the Hayworth Theater, guys.
Is there a website people can go to?
Yeah, Reanimator the Musical, I think.
.com?
It has its own website, I think. If you Google it, I'm sure.
I'm
I don't know
sure.
if it's .com, but
And we'll post a link on that to our
Cool.
a link to that on our Facebook page
Yeah.
as
Cool.
well.
What is the blood made out of?
I don't know. A lot of it is the stuff that gets sprayed in the audience is soap based.
Oh,
So
that's nice.
it's like liquid detergent with I don't know what kind
Just
of
food coloring or
red stuff.
something?
Yeah, food coloring of some sort. But the stuff that is on stage is tomato juice, red dye number 2, and I have to have that in a pack in my mouth,
Yes.
a pack the size of a water balloon. Out it comes, and
Wow.
it goes down my throat. It's rotten. It's horrible.
One thing I also noticed about the show is the harmonies are so complicated. Was it a difficult score to learn?
It's quite a sophisticated score.
It really is.
It's so many shows just go with the girl group pop music, and those are really super fun. But this one's kind of challenging.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
even more than Sondheim, I would say.
yeah, it's along those lines.
Yeah.
That's a bold statement, more than Sondheim. Guys, if you have any questions for Mr. George Wendt, make sure you give us a call at 1-800-336-2225, 1-800-336-2225.
Or tweet us La La Land Talk.
We'll be back on La La Land with Brett and Daisy on CRN Digital Talk. Welcome back to La La Land on CRN Digital Talk. I'm Brett Chapin. That's Daisy Eagan. We're joined today by the talented actor, Mr. George Wendt. If you have any questions for George, make sure you give us a call at 1-800-336-2225, 1-800-336-2225.
George, my boyfriend just texted me and says in 1988 he did a film with you called Plain Clothes. He was an extra. And he wants to know how you stay so ageless.
Well, I just take such good care of myself.
It's the beer, isn't it?
Water, yeah. No, I
There's
couldn't
water
tell
in
you.
beer.
Yeah, there's water in beer. That's it. Beer, sure.
Yeah, barley's good for you.
Yeah.
So you're basically just pickled.
Yeah. Good one. That is good. Preserved.
Nice.
Lots of
Yeah.
preservatives.
Well, speaking of beer, I mean, your name is pretty synonymous with a pretty legendary character, Norm from Cheers, and I did want to ask you, like, if there's any sort of difficulty to that with being typecast or things like that, or if you just take it and embrace it, it's great.
No doubt. I mean, well, certainly I take it and embrace it. There's no denying, my background and. What it sort of overwhelms the way anyone thinks of me otherwise, but I managed to stay busy, but nothing really has had the impact of Cheers. So people think I've retired and stuff. It's funny. But
no, guys, I've been constantly working.
Yeah, and never have I played an out of work accountant who sits in a bar all day. Like right now I'm playing the dean of a medical school, but I suppose there's been oodles of projects where like I don't even hear about them, or they don't want to consider me because of, everyone just thinks I'm Norm from Cheers. Mm-hmm. But, I don't know if that is for real or not, because, it hasn't hurt Woody,
Sure. And you've certainly not suffered from a lack of work since Cheers, so.
No.
Is it ever difficult? I mean, I'm sure you have a lot of people come up to you, recognize you on the street, and say, "Hey, Norm," that kind of thing. Does that ever get a little bit maybe on your nerves?
Very early on, I thought to myself, if I'm going to let this make me crazy, I'll be certifiable in very short order.
Yes.
So I just decided to roll with it.
Great attitude.
Yeah.
How does it feel? I mean, obviously you enjoy doing theater.
Yeah.
Did you ever have that sort of wrestle with yourself about it in terms of what it quote unquote says about your career? Do you know what I mean?
I think I might know what you mean. Does it mean like I don't I don't get enough fancy feature film offers?
Yeah, like people might be like, "Oh, well, he has to do theater."
Right. Well, yeah, it's true. I mean, in the sense that if I had a really fancy, career in big movies, I might not be as available for theater, but I managed to juggle the zero budget indies that I do with theater, and it doesn't seem to get in the way.
And you love doing theater.
Oh gosh, yeah, it's by far the most fun.
Yeah.
Movies suck out loud. And that's, I mean, it's just, we have, well, from the theater technical rehearsal is, the most difficult part of the process. You've rehearsed for several weeks, and now it's just about every little tiny minute detail of technical things, lighting, sound, marks, sound cues. It just it's just profoundly boring, and that's every day on a feature film. Is tech.
Yeah.
There's hardly any joy.
Yeah.
So, the actors run the show. Once a show opens, it's kind of on us in theater, and so we just have a grand old time. and we get to play, and the audience is in the space with us, and there's no distance, no, 6 months to 18 months away from an audience ever seeing it, or I don't know. It's just way more satisfying work.
Do you find that you really enjoy the immediate audience feedback that you get with theater rather than in film? Is that part of it?
Yeah, there's none of it in a film, and in theater, it's a circuit. It's it's like a an electrical circuit. There's a feedback. There's the connection right away.
Definitely. Well, Daisy and I both being theater actors, I think that we're both very glad that you're doing Los Angeles theater right now.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Los Angeles theater, as our audience knows.
Yeah.
Very well. I'm a huge supporter of Los Angeles theater, so I think it's awesome to have you.
Thank you.
Treading the boards here.
Thanks. Yeah, it's not that often that I play here, but I've always enjoyed it.
And I saw you in art, and you were phenomenal.
Cool.
Just phenomenal.
In New York, that was?
Yeah.
Cool.
It was a really beautiful production.
Art was a theater piece?
Yes.
Yeah, art, 3-person thing. I mentioned New York because I did it in London first with Stacy Keach and the late David Dukes, who was quite an LA theater actor. He really kept busy here in theater. And then I went to Broadway with Judd Hirsch and Joe Morton, and that was fun. It's about 3 middle-aged guys who one of lifelong friends. One of them buys a painting, blank canvas, white on white, for $350,000, and the other guy can't deal with it. And
sounds
great piece.
Sounds cool. Guys, if you have any questions for George Wendt, make sure you give us a call at 1-800-336-2225, 1-800-336-2225. We'll be back on La La Land with Brett and Daisy right here on CRN Digital Talk. Welcome back to La La Land on CRN Digital Talk. I'm Brett Chapin. That's Daisy Eagan. We're joined today by the great actor, Mr. George Wendt. If you have any questions, make sure you give us a call at 1-800-336-2225.
Emmy-nominated George Wendt.
Yes, indeed.
Rock and roll. Hey, George, one of our loyal audience listener watchers, Kevin Dellin, wants to know if you have any good stories working on set with Robert De Niro in Guilty by Suspicion, and you were telling us some.
Well, it was I was on my very best behavior and completely intimidated and respectful, and I just didn't there weren't any hijinks per se working with Robert De Niro. Bob, we call him.
He's method. He's method, right?
He's method. I think he has his own method, but I don't really know if it's the method.
Right.
Anyway, but I will remember and share with you that like one of the first nights, might have been the first night of that we were shooting. The first day happened to be a night shoot, and it took place in Union Station in downtown LA, and we were all decked out. Period. It took place in 1951, and so we're about halfway through the evening, and then a train arrives from wherever, San Diego or I don't know where, and a couple hundred people get off the train. And I don't think that the director, Irwin Winkler, and certainly Robert De Niro, I don't think they watch much television. So they might have known that I was on a TV show, but I don't think they realized the popularity and stuff. And so, a couple hundred people start walking past our little movie set, and they're all going... They completely ignoring De Niro, and going, "Oh my God, Norm! Whoa, Norm! Hey, look, everybody, Norm!" Going, "Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!" They have no idea. Shut up! And I was embarrassed.
That's totally like me when I'm on a set. People are like, "That's Brett from La La." No, that doesn't really happen.
Well, it ruins all the sets.
Yeah. You know, what I wanted to ask you, too, is we get a lot of listeners from other areas of the country that are looking to come out to LA and pursue acting or the arts in some way. Would you, having been involved in the industry for such a long time like you have, would you give them any advice? And if so, what would it be?
Well, I don't want to ruffle any feathers, but, you know, and I'm really out of touch. You know, I'm quite old now, finally. And, you know, so I don't know how current my advice would be, but I'm happy that I broke in Chicago because, you know, it was like, for starters, union affiliation just sort of happened. You know, I took workshops at Second City, and within a year or so, I got into the company, and I had to join equity. Like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, I have to join. I guess I'll join. Then one day we, you know, got a call, and all of us had to show up at Leo Burnett one morning to lay down some radio spots. No, it was demos, they called them, for television spots. The copywriters had written a campaign, and they were going to pitch it, but they wanted to pitch it, you know, on tape to their clients. And so we laid down some TV spots just in a studio, you know, like a radio studio. Mm-hmm. And, here's sign here, and that was SAG, you know. Mm-hmm. So, like, that's how I joined SAG. And then a few weeks later, they brought us back for some radio spots, and that was after, and it was like boom, 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 and like, and you know, I feel like when kids, you know, might come to LA without their union affiliation sorted out, it might be kind of tough.
Well, in these days, you have to pay money to get into the union, don't you?
Oh, we had to pay initiation fees too, mind you.
Oh,
it wasn't, but it was the question of being allowed to pay, you know?
Right.
Right.
Yeah, because I think it's $2,500 now or something like that to register.
Yeah, they would take it out of our checks.
$2,500?
Well,
That's
you know,
insane.
little by little.
Right.
You know, equity at the time, I don't know what it was, probably like $1,200 or something. And, you know, they'd take $50 a week out for whatever. But, you know, we worked 52 weeks a year.
I guess I didn't notice it because I was a kid, so somebody else was dealing with it.
But even if you're ready to pay that $25, you can't necessarily do it because you got to get your 3 vouchers, and you know, there's a whole process. They make it tough to join
Vouchers?
unions.
What are the vouchers for?
Vouchers is for 1 day worth of extra work, but it has to be union extra work. So if you're a non-union actor, it's hard to get union extra work jobs. It's almost impossible. So that's how they kind of...
It's a catch-22. So that's... And so I don't know where else that exists other than Chicago, but I'm guessing Seattle, San Francisco, you know, you can maybe get... Minneapolis, maybe you can kind of weasel your way into the unions.
So you're saying don't come to LA?
Well, not without some experience or chops or... at least one union affiliation.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, be prepared, definitely.
I met with a manager before I moved out here, and I was going to move out at pilot season, and I said, what advice would you give me? And he said, don't move to LA for, you know, at pilot season. It's a horrible idea. And it was. I did it anyway, but in retrospect, it was the worst time to move. You know.
So much competition at that time.
Right.
Here.
Yeah.
We're talking to Mr. George Wendt, you guys, on La La Land Talk with Brett and Daisy.
And we also want to thank Jonathan White and Stephanie Wilder for their recent sponsorships on our Indiegogo account.
You guys rock for donating at indiegogo.com/La La Land Talk Season 2. And we'll be back with George Wendt on La La Land with Brett and Daisy on CRN Digital Talk. Welcome back to La La Land on CRN Digital Talk. I'm Brett Chapin. That's Daisy Eagan. We're joined by actor George Wendt. Last chance, guys. If you have any questions for George, give us a call at 1-800-336-2225.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, last chance to see Reanimator in L.A., at least this version of Reanimator, before we take it to New York and Edinburgh.
And I do highly recommend it. And you guys just look like you're having such a great time up there.
At the Haworth Theater.
Is this cast going to New York and Edinburgh?
Yes, this is the original cast from the Steve Allen Theater last year. And we're on to New York and Edinburgh.
Has it changed much since the last production?
The show?
Yeah.
Well, we've cut the intermission because that won't fly in Edinburgh. You gotta get.
The show flies right by.
Yeah.
And the great thing is, I think, with the Hayworth, well, with any theater really, but the night that I went, there were a few open seats, so people can walk up and get their tickets.
Yeah.
You know, if you find yourself with nothing to do tonight, 7 o'clock and 10:30.
Yes, I think 7's probably sold out, but 10:30, come on down. And I think at 10:30 they do a costume contest.
Oh, fun.
Because people tend to dress up like the characters in the show.
So like Rocky Horror.
We
That's
saw
awesome.
people sitting in the front row who looked like they were intentionally wearing white.
Oh yeah, people love getting the sprayed with blood.
Yeah.
Oddly,
The
That
whole,
wouldn't be
I mean,
me.
the whole set is
Yeah, I
just
know.
splattered.
I know the poor guys at the Hayworth. They're never going to get the blood out of that place. You guys must giggle. You must see it all over the stage.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, between that and our tanner, the stage is really just filthy at this point.
And the pickle juice. Don't
And the
forget
pickle juice.
Yeah.
I drenched myself in pickle juice in the show.
Nice.
So.
Nice.
But yeah, 1 week from tomorrow is your last show here in LA.
Right.
And
Reanimatorthemusical.com.
You guys are going to be retooling a little bit as well. Did I read that
I think
correctly?
we're just going to make some some trims. We're going to work on sound and cuts and also we're going to work on our set a little bit, and we're going to probably the different venues in New York, and we're going to have wings.
Oh, that's nice.
Because the Hayworth has no wings, which is
Well,
weird.
the only reason I'm excited that Reanimator is closing at the Hayworth is because Jersey Shore has to perform with your set, and it just makes no sense.
Yeah.
I'm going to be going to the Hayworth a lot. I'm going to see this Reanimator and Jersey Shore School.
Yeah, I'd like to see Jersey Shore School too.
It's fun. Come on by on Tuesday. We'll set you up. Or Wednesday.
All right.
Tuesday or Wednesday.
For sure.
It's been so exciting having you
thanks.
on
Yeah,
the show
thank you
today.
so much for being here. An honor.
Thanks. Thank you.
And we're going to... How much time do we have?
I don't know. We got
About a minute?
about 3 minutes.
About 3 minutes.
Yeah. Like,
Here I
oh,
am.
we got 1 minute.
We have
Paul
1
Madrid
minute.
says.
Sheesh.
There's our theme music. It's time to go, Daisy.
So we want to make sure our audience knows that we are produced by Paul Stern, and Paul Madrid is our lovely engineer, as always, in the engineer booth, fielding phone calls and whatnot.
Being awesome as
Being
usual.
awesome.
And make sure you sponsor us if you can, guys, at indiegogo.com/LaLaLandTalk Season 2.
Just like Jonathan White and Stephanie Wilder did.
We love you guys.
We do.
Check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/LaLaLandTalk and Twitter at twitter.com/LaLaLandTalk. You can send us an email at lalalandtalk@gmail.com.
And check out our Facebook page. We have some information on a contest that we're currently, our very first La La Land contest.
Yes. We're going to give you guys all the details on that next week.
Next week is another solo show.
Yes. Well, yeah, for the first time in a couple months, we got a solo show.
Yeah.
Talking about some stuff. And,
Issues.
yes.
Issues and stuff.
For Daisy, this is Brett Chapin. That's Daisy Eagan. This is La La Land. We'll see you at the top.